Good. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for. I believe we have a Department of Public Works here. Thank you, members, for making your way to your respective desk. But with that, I call this Ways and Means hearing to order. Before us, we have the Department of Public Works with regards to their budget request that was submitted to the legislature. And before we begin, we do have a quorum to conduct today's agenda, and then with that, we'll have a. Can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda? There has been a motion, has been seconded. Discussion. Ready? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Agenda is adopted. Move along to public comments. Is there anyone in the gallery that would like to make comments with regards to the submission made by the Department of Public Works and their budget? Being there's none, Sarge, can you please invite the secretary and his key staffs to? Uh, good morning, Secretary Yumo. Yeah, that's kind of weird, but that sounds weird saying Yumo to
Good
you.
morning, Chairman Yumo.
Thank you for making yourself present today with your staff. With that, Secretary, I'll give you the floor for your opening statement and any of your staff that would like to also do an opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chairman and distinguished members of this body. I'm here today as requested to appear and discuss the department's budget for fiscal year 2025. Uh, those in attendance with me from my left to my right is my accounting manager, Ms. Rit Siren, and to her immediate right is my director of administrative services, Mr. Pete Camacho, and to his immediate right is my highway manager or administrator, Lorraine Villagomez, and to my immediate right is my director of technical services, Mr. Tony Camacho, and to his immediate right, my director of roads and grounds, Mr. Mike Borja. To his immediate right is my director for the energy division, Ms. Delma Inos, and to her immediate right, lastly, my director for solid waste, Mr. Blas Mofnas. So we're here basically to discuss the budget submission and when the budget call was put out, and we were given directions on to as to how to submit our budget. We were told to make some financial cuts, which we did accomplish accordingly, and we stayed within the guidelines of OMB's request. We comply with it, and we felt that we were satisfied with our submission. We had a discussion with OMB, particularly with how we were to expend and manage personnel. We were told operations as usual will be zeroed out, and that the central government, in particular the Secretary of Finance, will um, make the adjustments and work with us in making those payments to our critical vendors. Um, those critical vendors are, of course, with solid waste, because we do have a US EPA compliant uh, landfill, the only one in the CNMI. And to date, I'm happy to report that we have zero notice of violations. We have none, basically, and that it's operating the way it should be, albeit with financial constraints, which we can discuss more in detail as we move forward. And of course, our building code office, which deals with all the permitting and the inspections for all the developments within the Commonwealth. Uh, so in that discussion, again, we primarily concentrated on personnel and how we're to operate. I did lose a few key positions within my office, administrative services, and it has severely handicapped my ability to provide services, um, in particular to you, the members of this body, when it comes to requests for comments and the like, because um, this department is pretty broad, um, and there are a multitude of issues that are always coming up from projects, yeah, federal highway projects, delegation projects, and contracts with services, for example, solid waste. So the governor's submission to you with regards to the resources um, was submitted, and what caught my attention is attachment A for fiscal year 2025, the revenue forecast. And I am extremely concerned because normally under the last few years, this body had budgeted through the enactment of the annual appropriations, and within the estimated revenues, through a decision, solid waste revolving fund was suspended. In particular, solid waste fund two under 2 CMC 3551, and the 7% solid waste revolving fund, or 4 CMC 1402G, under public law 1864. These two kind of go hand in hand. Um, the 4 CMC 1402G actually deals with the allocation to Rhoda and Tinian, the 10% um, of the solid waste fund. And if you're not aware, I have written to the resident directors of both islands, asking them, basically ordering them to begin collecting tipping fees, because here in Saipan, we do collect tipping fees, and we use those funds to basically pay for what is required under the US EPA's permit conditions to. And that is to provide for a contractor to do the testing of the surrounding of the landfill, to make sure that we're not leaching any chemicals into the environment, and that we're paying also our vendors to provide solid waste management for the landfill. Um, so we're able to work within our means, although it is a challenge. W- uh, we're moving cautiously forward as we deal with the financial conditions before us. Now, in this attachment A, there were a couple of new items that were thrown in. Uh, and if you have your um, copies from the governor's submission, it's actually on page 10 of the attachment. And if you look at item 49, um, that basically is a reflection of the prior year's budget, and also item 66, correction, item 48. However, what's new that was added here is item 56, correction, item 57, the driver's license fees under Public Law 20-39. Uh, the department receives 45% of these fees, and it is allocated to the department's road maintenance account. This is basically our special account. This will, in fact, cripple my director of roads and grounds' ability to provide road maintenance. In other words, the shoulder cleaning and upkeep of the highways. And that is going to be a very serious issue. On top of that, we are using some of these funds to actually pay for our CUC utility, which is the streetlights, because of the way Public Law 23-9 was fashioned. We are required to expend all available resources within this department, inclusive of the special account, before the Secretary of Finance will kick in and pay beyond that. This other new item that was added in is the Building Safety Code fees, item 66, under Public Law 645. And Ms. Yvonne Tenorio sitting behind me is the acting building code officer. So uh, her operations will be severely hampered. Without this account, there's no way that this department's my building inspectors are going to be able to go out and continue to do the required inspections, thereby crippling the economy potentially if appropriate language is not inserted in this budget act to ensure that we have the ability to receive funds to cover for fuel, for example. I'm not sure how this August body is to fashion administrative or legislative language to ensure that administratively I have the ability to pay for these required um, payments, utilities, fuel. Um, it will render this department basically uh, useless in a sense to provide those critical services. The other divisions within this department, fortunately for us, we have federal funds that are keeping these divisions afloat. Energy Office, for example, Federal Highway, some of our engineers and architects are funded in part, which allows me to use these folks to provide services other than what is required under the grants. So I've I want to make it very clear that these two new items the driver's license fee suspension for which will affect road maintenance, and the building safety code, which will affect my building inspectors. Will hamper operations. So I want you guys to be very mindful of this. I do understand clearly that this administration, our administration, is under tremendous amount of pressure because of the over expenditures of the past administration, the audit that findings that have revealed a lot of questionable costs, which is really frustrating because those past years' mistakes are now before us, and under this administration, it's a challenge. I'm not overly upset about this. I just want to make it very clear that it is very frustrating, and um, I'm worried that uh, the good people that work within this department may have to suffer because of this, um, and that I worry about their livelihood. You know, I do not want to take um, anything away from them. They deserve 100% of their salaries. They do have families. Um, this department, on average, actually has a higher uh, tenure. We have a lot of veteran, seasoned employees that are sharp minded and have really held up this department. This department, to be clear, is a cash cow of this government. Uh, we're not 100% expenditure or expensed type of an operation. We are generating income. So um, I want to of course applaud them for all the great work that they've done to date. Um, I'm going to ask Director Inus, for example, to talk about the energy grants that have just been awarded to us. Uh, you know, she's been working hard. Likewise with our highway guys, Director Tony, and his folks in making sure that our projects are moving along so that our contractors out there are paying their folks, who in turn pay taxes and generate income for this commonwealth. You know, I was hoping that if the, for example, the road maintenance account is not to be tapped, we've actually had the ability to open up a few roadways. Director Mike Borja was instrumental in moving this with the limited resources and equipment. We, I can count the number of heavy equipment with one hand that we have, but were able to open up roads. And to me, I believe that this would have been a way to help spur economic development here, because with the opening of right of way, which will mean people, families, people that own properties will have access to those properties, and they will build, they will construct, they will develop, and thereby contribute to the economy. They're not. So that is one way that we can slowly get out of the rut. Director Tony and his staff have been moving fast in pushing out road projects because yes, the economy is down, tourism is down, but it allowed us to build these roads or reconstruct, rebuild with minimal traffic disruptions. If we did this during peak tourism, traffic would be extremely difficult to navigate through. Our solid waste were able to open up cell number 2 under the management and efforts of Director Blas Moftas. And like I said earlier, We were able to do this without any incidents or violations coming from US EPA. Just down south, you've read reports from Guam. They're not in a very good position. They're under a receivership, and my biggest fear is that if the solid waste revolving fund continues to be uh, tapped into, um, it may trigger a receivership for us here, because if we do not have the financial ability to pay our vendors, it will trigger um, uh, US EPA to step in, and that is unavoidable. And I really do not want this to befall us, because we will see tipping fees shoot up to the roof, probably to the moon, just to pay outside consultants to manage our landfill. And our building code folks, they are moving as fast as they can. I just lost Tinian. Unfortunately, I lost the building code inspector. I've already notified NMHC, for example. I don't expect us to be able to go down there to inspect any, as often as um, required, because um, I will not have the funds to do so, and it will slow economic progress. And I'll be reaching out to the mayor of Tinian to see how we can alleviate this issue. As for Rhoda, we're moving forward with our road projects down there. Unfortunately, one of our contractors I had to terminate their contract for road repair, because it's been over 2 years since they've taken meaningful progress. So we're moving to the next phase, which is to rebid, so that we can get uh, those roads down there repaired and moving. So, in essence, I'm trying my best with the resources I have to ensure that this department keeps pushing forward the progress that we've been able to do, so that we generate economic activity within the Commonwealth. This department is very critical to that feat being accomplished. I mean, as a side note, even Director Mike has been assisting sports facilities, DLNR, to repair baseball fields and the like, because you know I can remember when the Kintetsu Buffaloes used to come down here for spring training. That generated good tourism numbers and economic activity. And due to his deep and vast experience in Little League, he knows how to blindly prepare a field without even using a measuring tape, and it will be in compliance. So I'd like to stop at this point and turn it over to you, Chairman, and to this board, to this body. If you have any questions for us, we're more than happy to help or answer.
Thank you, Secretary, for that opening remark. Can we get an update as to the, I guess, the road projects that are ongoing right now along Beach Road?
Thank you. I'm gonna have my director, Tony Camacho, speak to that. I believe I want you guys to I'll hear it directly from these guys. That's why they're here. But I want them to be able to answer your questions completely as much as possible, so that we don't have to come back to you for an answer. If I think we should be able to get you guys all these answers here right now. So, with that, Director Camacho.
Uh, Hello. Good morning. Just to give an update on Beach Road, right now, as we all know, or some of you might know, that the project is a bit delayed. Some of them are delayed because of different issues with the roadway, but some of them are um, basically the contractor does have a lot of challenges on this work. So there are three phases that are ongoing right now, which is the phase two from Chalan to Micro Toyota, and then three and four is north of that. The NMHC part of it on three and four, that's also delayed. But one of the things that we're trying to make sure that there are no uh, open trenches at least before July 4th. It seems like the resurfacing has been completed in that area, but they'll probably have to hold off on the anti-skid and striping until the Liberation Day. So things are moving along. There's a lot of work on phase two to include drainage systems. And basically, I think the completion date is in November. November, yeah. We are experiencing a lot of rain moving forward. So there might be some delays also because of that. Hopefully, the contractor does their best to meet that timeline for now.
Thank you, Director, for the update. With regards to the submittal, I mean the between the department's request and the administration, we only know the reduction is mostly on personnel. Assuming that we're moving forward with the continuous of using the special account and the federal grant. So, um, with regards to the request, I know that means your. Let me go back. It's the, I guess it's the utilities. That's one that it's affected, and hold on, just one moment. Yeah, it's just the utilities that affects your department. So, are you suggesting that we amend the laws with regards to the streetlights, or what is the department's position on that?
Well, I would like to see the streetlight billing shifted elsewhere. The department right now shoulders 100% of the streetlights. I believe we're touching on about not less than $1 million a year, just on streetlight billings. And like I said in my opening remarks, uh, RIT has been utilizing road maintenance because the streetlights are along the roads, and we've made that nexus, the that connection as to why we were using that funding source to pay the utilities. Um, you know, we've been really good about it. We've also been. I've actually ordered staff to go out and start checking for street lights that have um, busted lights, for example. And I have a report on the number of non-functioning street lights. And of course, I encourage the public at large, please give us a call if there's a street light in your area and it's not functioning, you gotta call it in, because this department is paying flat rate monthly per street light, whether it's on or it's off. So it's imperative that we know every non-functioning street light. On occasion, you will come across a string of lights that are not functioning, and it's probably that 99% of the time is because of a blown transformer. Because these street lights are not connected directly to the high voltage wires. It needs to be stepped down to transformer. So it's those individual ones out there, because they do add up. I have a 3-page report right now that um, lists all the non-functioning streetlights and their locations. So if we will definitely need this body to find another funding source. Like I said, uh, it's one thing to zero out our operational account, but to take our special account will cripple us. I will not be able to provide any type of real services anymore. Like I said, I'm not saying it was a bad decision, but this government is facing a financial roadblock. I mean, it's like we're basically going to fall off a cliff. So um, I am open to suggestions. I have sat in your seats before. There are creative ways in your toolbox, your arsenal of administrative languages that can work this out. I mean, I hope that if you have not called in CUC yet, I would ask CUC, what is your percentage of line lost? How much are you producing versus collecting in through billing? And then that difference, what happens to it? Does it go into a battery system or it just goes into the ground? So that's what I would do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll work on that. I think we have our vice chair of PUTC here, so know this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I like to. We have to be mindful that streetlights is a critical aspect of safety and security. We need traffic lights systems to remain operable. We need streetlights to remain functioning because of security and safety. To me, that's paramount. Just like how CUC cannot, through the courts, shut off power to CHCC. I feel the same way. There's only so much my director of energy, Delma, can do to help. I mean, she's stretched every available grant money to install LED compliant lighting, solar lighting now. But there's only so much we can go. Our granting agencies can only allow so much, So we are aware, and we're not ignoring these things. I mean, you know, if you guys, if Delma, if there's any funds available, let's put some street lights or solar lights here in the parking lot of the bureau. Help you guys out.
Okay. We'll get back to the solar part. I think some of the member have questions with regards to the solar. With regards to and I remember last fiscal year we gave positions, vacant positions. Can we get an update where people actually hired, or did we lose out on those vacant positions?
No, we did. I'm gonna ask my director of administrative services, Peter Camacho, to talk on that with that regard, because I believe we did hire 5 under WIA. So, Director Camacho.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, last year, um, we have a lot of requests in regards to personnel. One in particular would be our roads and grounds division with the new road that was open back in Talofofo that extended, a lot of length of road would equate to a lot of maintenance. We requested WIA for at least 7, um, you know, uh, bodies or people that are interested to work as a trainee to participate for a period of 1 year. After the 1 year, then we would be able to convert them down to DPW's account so that we can be able to help our roads and ground staff. I'm happy to say that out of the 7, we managed to convert one of the employees down to our local account when that account became vacant. Um, to this budgetary process, we actually requested to have the remaining um, you know, um, 5 individuals be budgeted for this fiscal year budget process. We requested an extension to WIA. I have an approved WIA extension letter for those that are participating. These individuals are very hardworking. They're very enthusiastic employees under the roads and grounds. According to our director, they got good attendance. They want to work. They're eager to work, and they've been working. Um, I asked that this body supports our request. We've put it into this year's budget. More than happy to provide you a copy. Unfortunately, out of the 7, we had one of those employee passed away. We are asking WIA to fill that void for that one particular individual. Hopefully, we get an approval, but we did request. So we ask you guys to support. I like the secretary echo. We do need help, not only on our road maintenance account, but we need bodies. Every time it rains, the rain is like a miracle grow. When it rains, it really grows. You cut today, tomorrow it grows. And not only that, but our guys are also, not only, does the maintenance. As a matter of fact, this morning, Director Mike on the way down to work had to respond to a fallen tree. Our Thousand Island curb this morning, and even with the limited guys, they actually went out and started cutting up the flame tree, removing it, putting it on the side. So not only that they do the maintenance, but they also do a lot of response to either flooding, fallen trees. They also help out at for other function like the liberation or do grave diggings at Tanapak and other areas. So they're kind of stretched. They don't have a lot of staff, but you know they 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 are hardworking and they try their best to manage. As a matter of fact, they are going to be participating tomorrow in an oil spill um, scenario with Homeland Security. So we need our guys to get trained. We need our guys to be out there. We need our guys to perform what needs to be done. And of course, we're gonna have a lot of new roads being built. And every time there's new roads being built or updated, their maintenance would be part of that process. It doesn't matter how good we build if we don't have the maintenance to show for it. So like I said, we'll brainstorm with Director Mike and to see what is a sweet number for our roads and grounds guys, so that we can be able to help out their division. But one way of doing it is going through the WIA process. And like I said, I'm happy to report that for those that did participate or are currently participating now, we are happy that these guys are, we're satisfied with their performance. Like to share that with this body. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. So just to be clear, that those positions were filled, correct? The vacants that we gave you last fiscal year, and they are currently in the system.
So these are currently requested. Like I said, I have a list right here. I can provide this body to make sure that they are coinciding.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been distributed amongst you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me open it up to the members. I believe Rep. Sabran is very anxious with regards to funding DPW. So, Rep. Sabran,
Yeah,
you may.
thank you, Chairman, and good morning, and Secretary, and welcome as well as your team here. Question about the landfill and the awarded 56 million. What is the status on that? I know that we've been waiting for the creation of a master plan. How many percent are we already with the master plan? What's taking so long, and is there any update on that?
Yes, thank you. The comprehensive solid waste master plan is being handled by OPD on behalf of, first, DPW. And as of to date, we do have a draft that is being reviewed, and we anticipate to have a finalized version before or around November of this year. And once we have adopted it, meaning it needs to be put out for public comments amongst us, it will be transmitted to US EPA, who will then need to go through their process of reviewing and placing into the US register for comments as well before adoption. We anticipate that it should be approved by the second quarter of next year, and we will be able to begin implementation.
Is there any deadline in the formulation of such a master plan? And second question, how many of funds have tapped in on those 56 million already?
Okay, to the first part, there is no real deadline. All it means is that as long as the master plan is not been adopted, the clock has not started. The funds are still whatever the funds that has been allocated is still there. It's not subject to fiscal year limitation, as far as I'm aware. But once the plan is adopted, then the clock begins, and we would have to move forward with implementation. Um, Director Blasmovnas here can go into the details for your second question.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Congressman JP. Just in regards to the comprehensive integrated solid waste master plan, EPA EPA is actually following up with giving a GBB the deadline to develop that report. And then once, as the secretary mentioned, once it's adopted, then we would be seeing a lot of the funds being released. You know, as of now, we don't really know what's the balance. We can certainly ask OPD for for an update with the EPA as to what's pending. We're just preparing our to-do list, if you will, such as right now we are already in the Marpe landfill area. We're already filling CO2. So we need to anticipate a discussion on at least start discussion on the CO3 construction. Tinian and Road as well, we are assisting them to develop a permitted facility, and they would definitely need a funding source from the SODRA funds, which is being managed and approved by EPA through OPD's office.
So to your knowledge, none of this 56 million is being used as of the
Well, some
moment.
have been used, definitely, even to the extent. Again, we get a report from EPD, OPD or EPA? We certainly can ask,
Okay.
but definitely 56 million is already that's uh that's the initial grant that was awarded for solid waste activities in the cinema.
And that is to include the creation funding that were tapped in. The 56 was used to create this master plan. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. Yeah, they paid a contractor. GBB won the contract to develop that for for the cinema, just as part of the requirement for EPA to get a 5 year look ahead, if you will,
Right.
regarding the the cinema's master plan. And encompasses a lot of stuff such as even zero waste initiatives, which would definitely pursue the goal of extending any landfill or permitted dump area, if anything.
And is the proposed divvying up the funding still the same? Was it still 10 million for Tinian, 10 million for Rhoda, and then the remaining remains here in the third
In,
senatorial?
I believe initially, I think that's just a hearsay. But right now, the most recent expense really was even Tinian with the emergency contract. That's about 2.9 million. I don't believe it came out of their so-called 10 million share, but it's really on a as needed basis. Like I said, Rhoda, we're discussing with the leadership over there. What's the priority? We're giving them options, even connecting with CIP if they want to pursue any transfer station or convenience center. Some leadership they want two landfills in Rhoda. I mean, come on, let's start with one, right? But then convenience center would be an option, such as like our plan to develop both the southern population and the Gagman area. Those are all set, set, ready to go once the funding is available. And I believe even part of that 56 million is already could be dedicated or allocated to the construction or the development of those sites.
Thank you, Mr. Bloss, for your update and response. My next topic, Secretary, is I know that you mentioned about the ongoing development on Paseo de Maranas and the entire Hotel Street, right? And I know that it's an OPD project, but you're probably part of it too as well. So those lightings there, how many of them are powered by CD, and how many are proposed for solar panel lights, solar lights for that matter? Because you've mentioned that you're having uh, trouble paying uh, the street lights, right? And I think maybe we should shift uh, ideas on trying to, because the area is fairly just within the area, and maybe solar lights would be more reasonable at this point of time when we're really struggling financially, right? And I'm not too sure what's the plan of OPD within the Hotel Street. Do you have any knowledge on that? And those lightings that they're gonna build that are part of the plan now, are they city powered or are they solar lights powered?
Uh, Thank you, Congressman. Unfortunately, the engineer that this department that is tasked to have access or to be part of the working group, Gani Salazar is not here with us. He would have intimate knowledge. Um, the My understanding of the project is whatever is existing. There are some relocation of power poles. If they have lighting, it will remain. As far as additional lighting, Mr. Mariano Iglesias would have that information. Otherwise, I will have to sit down with Gani and have him give me a report, or so that I can provide it to you. I did ask Director Enos to look into that area and see if there's a way we can um, supplement and add solar street lights to areas of that project if it needs. And right now, again, we're just waiting for the completion of the project before we can step in. We don't want to get involved at this point, other than having a review and light oversight, if you will, because again,
Uh,
OPD is the office that has been tasked
right.
to
So,
manage it.
and that's the reason why I'm asking. I know I'm glad that you have two engineers that are sitting on this panel of the project that are are following through with the developments. But I think it's fair enough to start finding out what are the plans with the lightings there, how many of them are city powered, and what are the proposed for solar lights. Because if you look at Guam, like the Tumon area, a lot of those lightings around the area are actually solar lights. And it only makes sense because all those buildings, let's say that all the projects there and all those buildings are acquired and occupied, the lightings from the buildings are going to be helping out also with the solar. I know that the solar lights are not really that strong as a street light, if you will, but we're just talking about this area here. And you just mentioned that you're having hard time paying street lights and lightings. I mean, we should shift to solar lights. Maybe use this area as a pilot project and focus more on solar lights as opposed to city power lights, where every year when we talk about budget deliberation, we need to find those funds.
Okay, Congressman, if you will, can we defer this question? I am having him summoned up here. I want to get you the answer today. So if we can, uh, of course, go ahead, Director Enos, if you can answer.
Morning, honorable members and chairman. As for your question, and Secretary Yumo approached me and asked me how we can assist on the Hotel Street area. So I had my guys assess all the numbers of poles around there, and it is part of our proposed projects that we are going to try to do it. But we want to ensure that we're not doing a duplication from what OPD is doing. But that is part of our proposed project is to put solar lights on the Hotel Street area.
Okay, thank you for that response. That's great to hear, but it's also good to go and visit OPD and kind of find out what's their plans, right? And what are those lightings? Are they powered up by the city power, or you're proposing solar panels? So that I understand that you don't want to overlap with what the plans are right now, but I think it's only reasonable that we try to focus on solar lights there in that area, because we're not talking highway roads. We're talking just within these buildings here, and it's kind of reasonable and feasible, so that you don't inherit more expenses, Secretary, and your team. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep Sablon. I'll inform you. I did meet with Mariano yesterday, and I'll update the members in Precinct 3 with regards to the discussion with OPD and the contract. Let me recognize Rep Marisa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, DPW team, for being here. I was taking notes as you were talking, and I was also going through some other stuff. But I'm going to just start off. And in regard to 2039, has DPW considered working with the appropriate agencies to modify the current fee schedule?
Uh, can you clarify, Rep?
Driver's license.
But that's
Right.
right.
There's a bunch of fees that are imposed by DPS, right? But are also earmarked to help your agency conduct its
Right,
duty in regard to the road maintenance.
right. Is right now it's only the driver's license fees. It's
That's it.
set at 45%.
Okay. Would DPW consider maybe starting a dialogue with DPS to, consider maybe doing not a study, but what would the impacts be if you lift certain fees on the fee schedule? Because when you look at it now, let's just take mopeds, for example. You see now there's a lot of these electric mopeds going around because gas is expensive. Have we right now? I think it shows $3. No, that's bicycles. Sorry, mopeds is $20. And you also see a lot of motorcycles that have their the type of, I guess, what you call. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, you're good with this. What is a CC? I have no idea what that is, but it says mopeds, motor scooters, and motorcycles up to 100 cc. The fee is $20. So I think maybe the question for us is, we know that any type of increase in taxes or an increase of fees, it will come down to the consumer no matter what happens. It will, right? The CNMI has been held hostage in a lot of areas in regard to that. We have never considered raising taxes because we just don't like the idea of doing so, because we feel that it will impact our community, rightfully so. But when we are looking at the certain conditions that we're in now, as far as our economic climate and the situation we're in, and Mr. Yumel, Secretary Yumel, indicated that you have a great desire to keep your people employed. And the only way we're going to do this is through revenue generation. And we have to have new money. So, with that, I guess this body will go back, maybe talk to DPS. One of the things that I've noticed is that we're scared of public safety, but we're not scared of the consequence. Everybody can go speeding and pay the speeding fees. I mean, traffic court can tell you their docket's like 100 people every day. But if we lift those fees, right, they won't do it. It has a pro and con, but we need to be creative now more than ever. And I'm not sure what we can do, but I think we can go back, study that, look at the fee schedule where appropriate, and maybe make the adjustments. Of course, the public will be involved in that dialogue. And that was rhetorical, Secretary Yumo. Something to consider. Unless you wanted to have a remark, then
Yeah,
please feel
thank
free.
you, Congresswoman. To answer your first question, CC refers to the displacement of the engine itself. It stands for cubic centimeter. CC is used primarily for uh, motorcycles, scooters that were imported from Asia.
Okay.
That's why they use the metric system. The US, it's in inches,
Okay.
cubic inches,
Okay.
CI, for example. So it's the displacement. Now, as far as raising the fees, Public Law 20-39, because I remember during my tenure here in the legislature, these fees are not subject to adjustment by promulgation of rules. It's actually by law.
Oh,
So this
Okay.
body is going to have to open up Public Law 20-39, and within it, make an amendment as you see fit to raise the fees.
got it. And I think that's maybe something we should consider. I know some of the municipalities are making changes to a lot of their lot of ways for them to also help their economy. So I think maybe we can also take a look at 2039. Obviously, the public will have participation in this. So thank you for that. I guess I'd like to address Mr. Bloss here. In regard to the solid waste and our meeting last year, has anything positive changed in respect to the operations. Not that the work conditions were bad, but the last time I was there, I was able to see at the transfer station, this mountain of green waste. And our discussion was, how in the world are we going to remove that? And one of the discussions we had was imposing maybe an indirect cost on government entities who procure all of this green waste. I mean, I went to a government agency under the executive branch, and they had, in one government office, they had 10 printers, massive. So it gets dropped to you, sir. Can you give me an update on the green waste
Yes, good morning, Congresswoman. Uh, the green waste is actually in, you're talking about e-waste, the
or
amount of
e-waste? Sorry,
e-waste.
yeah.
Yeah, because green waste goes to MARPI. The e-waste actually, we've already, processing, we'll be processing a contract to ship out about 8 40-foot containers. It's already a procurement, funds is already identified. So it's just a matter of the paperwork to go to procurement, then route the contract accordingly to
So
fund certification, and then we should be, once awarded, we should be removing those amount of e-waste that you
okay, so
saw last time.
is that grant driven, or is that coming out of the general fund, or
That's
your
coming out of
allocation?
the general fund.
How much?
Of, right now, we're looking at, let's give or take about 30,000 per container. 30,000 per container.
And you said there's 8
times-
containers?
I'm sorry, 8, yeah. So 240,000. Fortunately, we are going to be revisiting our e-waste rates,
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't see the numbers adding up or even recovering.
Right.
Um, we did extract some information from some state. I don't have it in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe Director Peter and I were looking at, because Civil Secretary was tasked us to kind of see if we can raise the tipping fee,
Mm.
which is honestly, personally, I don't think that's the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'll get back to that. But as far as the funding is concerned, we just have to, you know, absorb it and just, pay, because even a lot of e-waste are coming from a lot of government agencies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, unfortunately, we're carrying the tab for that right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are still collecting, and, we will be collecting, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
some way or another to get those accounts receivable from other government agencies. But as far as the funding for the shipment of e-waste, we're just paying that to our collection of our tipping fees,
Okay, so
funded by the under the one part of our revolving account.
all right. So here's my question, and back to the secretary. Because the government also pays private companies to collect trash in your operations, how much do you allocate for trash collection? Or is that part of your rental?
No, it's separate. It's separate.
It's separate? So how much do you guys allocate for your department's trash collection?
Let me ask Peter Camacho, our administrative director, to answer that.
Congresswoman, a lot of the government entities, they don't set up an account, to budget for a lot of their trash disposals.
Mhm.
So, DPW, government is still a customer by regulation. So, we don't turn them away because, eventually the trash has nowhere to go except for our facility, but we do put them, on accounts, and we bill them. Unfortunately, a lot of these agencies, do not pay for their tipping fees. Some agencies pay. CUC pays for their trash collection. Um, 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 you know, um, a lot of the autonomous agency pays for trash collection. If an agency chooses to hire a private entity to dispose of their waste, then we do collect
Okay.
from the private entities that
And the
kill
only
there.
reason why I'm asking this question is because I want to go back to see, because none of the things we've ever asked in this budget hearing was how much money is allocated per government agency in regard to private trash collection. And the reason why I'm asking that is because if that's the case, then we need to figure out another way to start either imposing
What year is this?
a collection for this
2023.
so that it can support solid waste.
Congresswoman, just to answer your question, the government, through our accounting at solid waste, we've billed for FY 2023 $96,900 to the various agencies.
Did they pay it?
Uh, Probably not.
How many of them didn't pay?
That would be a Department of Finance question because
Can you please give us that list
sure.
to this body, please? 96,000 is not a little, when you're talking about money, that's a lot of money that can possibly help solid waste.
Mind you, this also includes representatives that have asked for tipping fee waivers for.
Well, is there such a document as a tipping waiver? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's for a public benefit.
So, okay. And then that's discretionary, right? And that's okay. But when we're talking about other entities that just don't pay it because they don't want to, that's a totally different thing. So when you have your regulation that allows you to, use your discretion to waive it, I'm okay with that. Is that something we might consider changing? We don't know, right? But it was a question that I wanted to ask because we've never asked any of the agencies that come in here, how much money do they allocate for trash collection? And now that you're saying 96,000, and then Mr. Camacho over here is saying, well, we charge, that is very new to me, and I've never known that. But now that I know, then that's something this body can look into. Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Mo.
Congresswoman, let me just, actually, yeah, I have a copy here prepared by our accountant for the budget narrative. Total to date, or at least from October 23 to May 2024, all government agencies, department, or actually the total accounts receivable was 166,776. We got a whole list here. They are technically they did apply for an account, open account.
Mhm.
However, not too long ago, at one point in time, we were talking to our legal counsel, or si Precious Nopido, si Cassidy Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're discussing, and we can do a route to finance or
Mhm.
OMB
Mhm.
or any budget allocation to remove this amount that rightfully due for
Mhm.
for the disposal fees or their accounts.
Mhm.
The biggest account holder right now here is under the Mayor Saipan. I guess Mayor Saipan, it's 123,322.
Okay.
That's a really challenging. Although we understand and we appreciate
Mhm.
their part in protecting the environment,
Mhm.
but I think they got to really consider about looking at
Mhm.
they're just enabling they're the biggest enabler of residents and the disposal. Just recently, passing by the back road,
Mhm.
there's a promo going out from the mayor's. I guess it's mayor's program. Put out all your trash by the road without any, you know, um, anticipation of the consequences for leaking oil on the ground.
So I guess, Mr. Muffness, my question was, is there any MOU or MOA with the mayor of Saipan in regards to disposal? Because then you would be the receiver and recipient of all of this trash.
Yeah.
Is there an MOU that tells this agency, this is how we want the trash to be disposed of, provided to, separated? Do you have that in your office, in your division?
No, we don't.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, they just they submit their account application to open an account.
Mhm.
It goes through the review, and then we open an account for them. However, when they do come in with mixed waste, that's not allowed at one side or the other,
Okay.
then we would reject them and ask them to sort it out.
Okay. and I think for me, right, I'm trying to figure out now how much money we can support solid waste. One of the biggest things and our problem is number one, our environment, power, water, but yet we have no supports for these, but we encourage everybody to reuse, reduce, recycle. We have all of these wonderful programs that are sponsored by nonprofit organizations, yet we cannot walk, we can't walk the talk, if that's what the term is that they use. We have to start being responsible agents and stewards of our commonwealth. And if that means that we have to pay our share, then we have to pay our share. So I'm going to try to work with this body to figure out a way where we can help solid waste because, like I said, you've got a tire shredder there that, oh, that's right, Mr. Blas. Your tire shredder, has that been replaced or because I understand it was purchased under federal grants, but the threading of the machine wasn't appropriate for the tires that you received?
Well, regarding the tire shredding machine, it's actually it would be operable once the 2-year new contract is signed and executed. Unfortunately, there's no funding due to the suspension of the earmarks, and that's really that's for the past 3 to 4 years, and I'm counting actually, and we should anticipate even for the next year. We should be putting out an RFP, or, for the MARPI O&M. And we're talking about another, what, maybe 3 to 4 million for 3 years, 3-year contract. How are we going to execute that absence any earmarks or, suspension? Again, this, I think we've submitted our budget,
Okay.
so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mafnas. I'm very sorry that, even after that last year I visited your division, that we're still kind of moving at a turtle pace. But I guess in a sense, that's government, right? It's not like private sector. And I'm not taking away from your division and your department. What I'm trying to address here is that we continue to work in silos. We continue to have separate missions doing separate things rather than one cohesive plan, one mission to improve the Commonwealth and the people within this Commonwealth. That's it. And apparently OPD is one of, the agencies that I think, I don't know. Anyway, moving along. Can you let me know and give me some update? I guess, Ms. Enos, this is for you. The Department of Public Works Energy Efficiency and Energy Star rebate. Has all of this money been exhausted?
So Congresswoman, so basically we are on our third year, and this grant funding is under the Department of Interior. We are actually on our third year, and I was thinking that we still have a lot of money, but basically we are at the verge of expending all three, all the fundings.
What were the outcomes for this grant?
What do you mean, what comes?
Well, you had a mission, you had
I mean,
timelines,
yeah,
so what was the outcome?
I mean, it's pretty good because people are coming in,
Okay.
receiving all the benefits
Rebates?
of the rebates.
Okay.
And a lot of people are just happy. And actually, we had some customers come in yesterday and we had to kind of like tell them to we have to wait because we just came back from Rhoda to do the rebate program. And so this is an opportunity now for Rhoda. We've been to Tinian.
Good.
So we're just trying to see what balance of it we would have. But this would be an ongoing program that we still need for the island.
Okay, can you give me off the top of your head, what was the total number of people reached for all islands together? In less than 100, more than 100,
Oh, more.
less than 500, more than 500?
800? About 800.
That's a good
altogether.
number.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
successful number.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
thank you. Maybe this might also be for you. In regard to the Energy Efficient Energy Star Appliance Rebate Program Year 2, has all the funds been exhausted? If yes, what is the total number reach?
So yes, and like I said, it's a year 1, year 2, and
Okay.
year 3.
Mhm.
So basically, all this 3 years would be like reaching that 800.
Okay.
So we are maxing, like closing out our second year as well.
Okay, good. Successful?
Yes, very much.
Good. People happy?
Yes.
Good. All right. So another one, I think this is for you. The CNMI Energy Task Force Planning and Coordinating Technical Assistance. I'm assuming this is under OPD and you are the point of contact under that grant?
Well, under the
It
energy
says
task
CNMI
force,
Energy Task Force. I'm assuming that's
Yes.
part of OPD.
it is under our, OGM is the one handling all those grants, and
Mhm.
I am the chair for
Okay.
the task force.
Can you give us an update?
We're still, we've completed the secure, the, what is that? Strategic plan. Sorry, we're
Okay.
doing between strategic and
Okay.
emergency plan. So we
All
have
right.
completed that.
Okay.
We're moving forward on that.
Good. CNMI Energy Task Force Renewables Technical Development Program. Any update?
That basically is under EPI. Basically,
Okay.
we are trying to, within our office, we're trying to do what we can under the energy grants.
And how well are you guys working together to successfully meet the program or the grant objectives?
We are working together. However, there's always a glitch of trying to put together, because we have also CUC. And so
Mhm.
it's a matter of trying to bind CUC, OGM on our program, on the renewable part.
How often do you guys
grant.
meet?
Well, we haven't met for a while because after the completion of the strategic plan, we haven't really
Okay.
met. But we're trying to meet July. We're waiting for the new executive director of CUC, so we're meeting first week of July.
Got you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Enos, for that update. I appreciate it. Mr. Secretary, there was a grant that was provided and awarded to the CNMI, the Federal Grants, I guess, Enhancement Program. Are you familiar with this grant? Yes or no?
I know I'm not a Congressman.
No. Okay. And I just wanted to ask because I'm assuming, and when you're talking about enhancement, it could mean solar lights, it could mean anything. But since you're not familiar, then that's okay. I'll just move along.
I'll certainly look into it and see if another agency had applied for it, and get back to you.
Okay. And then another one for DPW, Storm Water Sanitation System Project. Any update on that, Mr. Secretary?
Good morning.
Morning.
Sure,
sir.
we do have the grant that allocated funds in the amount of about 850,000, and that's for 4 different locations. For now, we are concentrating on the Fleet Marine area, the flooding in that area. We do have a design in-house, which has been completed. And we are waiting for EPA, since it's a federal grant. It has to go through the Section 106 consultation and approval. When that comes out, we'll be ready to bid that portion.
Okay. Thank you. I think I will yield my time, Chairman, but when I think of DPW, I think of DLNR. And in terms of efficiency and providing service to our community, they are not the same, but they're no different either. And I think it is important that we consider ways to be supportive, but also creative in regard to supporting this institution. If there's a duplicate of services in other agencies that takes away their due diligence and their powers to conduct themselves in a manner that is efficient for our general public, I think this body should consider that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Thank you, Rep Flores. I'll recognize Rep Manny and then Rep Patrick.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary, and your team for being here tonight. Sorry. And that's why I need a coffee so long this morning. Yeah, sometimes in this line of work, you don't know day and night because there's a lot of things going on. But first of all, I just want to thank you and your team, your department, for all the work that you guys do. Whether people realize it or not, despite the economic situation, the work that DPW is doing especially when it comes to highway, you know, infrastructure projects. Those are the things that's going to help the economy. In the United States, when the U.S. experienced the Great Depression, what the government did at that time to get it out of the economic situation it was in, it invested in infrastructure to you know, and that's why you have the freeways you see today in the United States. That's why power is more affordable than it used to be, because you have all the dams and all these infrastructure projects are very critical to economic recovery. So thank you and your team. It's not easy pushing through for all of those grants, but while we have those funding, please continue to do the great work that you're doing. Um, Also, thank you for agreeing to supply all the backfill into Susupi Beach Park. The vision for that is when we get that park leveled up, it can be utilized by our public. We can have street markets, and maybe soccer activities, fiestas. Those are the things that our residents look forward to and our tourists alike. In regards to the fees, you know, regarding all the trash. I also want to say thank you to the mayor, Mayor RB, for taking a proactive approach to getting all those trash and debris out of residences and blighted properties. And I do realize, yes, it does create a problem. So I hope that you know, the mayor's office will work with DPW to make sure that everything's in compliance. But someone has to do that work and get all those trash out of the villages. But at the end of the day, we also have to keep our people accountable. We cannot continue to enable our people to just keep storing trash in their residences and then the government's going to come in and clean it up for them. We're enabling them. So, you know, one of the very first bills that I introduced was House Bill 23-54. And this bill is to really take care of a law that's never been implemented. It was actually implemented by my grandfather, and it's the Recycling Act of 1999. That's Public Law 11-122. And it was actually Rep. BJ Atto that informed me about this when I was trying to do the beverage container bill. Um, and a lot of the issues that was discussed today with regard to what Rep. Marissa mentioned about uh, government paying for the tipping fees. Each time we charge the government, we're charging the taxpayer. So the money is just recycling. Um, you know, that's an additional processing that maybe we don't need. But if we actually implement the CNMI Recycling Act of 1999, which the whole concept of that is to be proactive and charge advanced disposal fees at the port. So, for example, and this is something DEQ or BCQ was supposed to do since 1999, but they never did. So, part of my bill, House Bill 23-54, is to transfer that authority to DPW, which is the rightful heir, because at the end of the day, DPW takes care of all this trash and the department needs to be compensated. I'm looking at the salaries of your personnel, they need to go up. Nobody can live at $18,000 and $20,000, especially doing that kind of work. So hopefully, if we transfer all these fees, not only can we support DPW in terms of the heavy equipment and all the machinery that's needed, but also improve, reclassify some of those positions. And, you know, like we also may need to look at the times our personnel are out there, like 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, prone for heat stroke. So maybe, you know, pay differential and other things and have them cut the grass like later in the evening. Um, but I'll leave that up to you. You guys know what's the best route. But hopefully, when we get this bill, we can get some comments from DPW. Both the House Bill 23-54 and also the beverage container bill. Right now, all the excise tax that's coming in for beverage containers, whether it's beer, sodas, it's going, there's three different taxes. But, we should just transfer that fee back to the people that are causing the trash, which is the consumers. So you buy a case of beer, and and you don't dispose of that, you throw it in the jungle. I bet you if it was 10 cents a can, they're not going to throw that can in the jungle, right? So we just have to like tweak this and incentivize rather than penalize. Same situation with the junk cars. It's a big problem. And I know there's two issues to that. One is the land situation. We probably need more space, but hopefully, if we get this recycling act situated, it would transfer more funds to DPW. Um, so I look forward to your comments.
Thank you, Congressman. We did have this conversation, and I actually also met with the Senator, your counterpart, or the counterpart of this body that's reviewing your legislation, Senator Magofnia. And as I had mentioned, the biggest problem that we have is if we call it a tax, we're only going to collect these fees, which is a tax from one major segment of the market, which is um, the public at large, meaning commercial importers that brings in, for example, the soda cans, beer cans, and the like. Uh, we cannot put a tax on the federal side, which is basically the AFIS, the little shop head down in Puerto Rico that sells bottled water and soft drinks and alcohol. Um, any other jurisdiction in the U.S. Is able, they are able to collect a fee from these military outlets, but it has to be through a redemption, um, and that is a fee. So when you buy a case of soft drink, for example, at the point of sale, um, the cashier will punch in the item automatically. The system calculates the redemption, 5 cents, 10 cents per can, and that's added on. That money they will remit to the central government, to the CNMI government. I'm sorry, because those are producers of trash that eventually will make its way to the landfill. It's very clear. Just like how I've had many discussions with the delegation of Tinian, asking me to try to figure out a way to tax the military buildup through the developers tax, and then we can't do that. However, um, BCQ CRM can impose fees for permits, and that's very clear in even in federal law, because there's an impact to the environment. That's the key here. If there's an impact to the environment, then any entity, both uh, state or federal, must pay into this program so that we can dispose of our waste. And in this case, recycling these items so that it does not go into our landfill. And this is the only way to do it. Adding another layer of tax at the point of import will exclude these military outlets. There's just no way around it, Congressman. It needs to be um, a redemption fee. And like you said, if I buy that case of beer and I pay that redemption fee, and I leave it by the side of the road, and someone picks it up, they can go and collect and receive a refund. I lose out on that, and that's my loss. But for the division of solid waste, uh, we will not see that um, plastic bottle, the soda cans, the alcoholic beverage cans. We won't see it as a solid waste. There will be recyclers that are going to be going after and receiving the cans because they want to collect. Ultimately, they want to collect uh, the redemption because they will present now then to um, the Department of Finance and says, "Hey, I've received through a community outreach X amount of beverage cans. You can weigh it, you can count it. Here it is. We're gonna pack it and ship it off. Um, Now I just want reimbursement through that redemption." And we've done that. Office of Grants Management put out that 555 program, and it was very successful. Unfortunately, it was a very limited run, and it closed. I know Epi Cabrera is trying to revisit it, and I said, "Look, I want your data. I want to be able to see if Director Mofnas can uh, kick this off because the transfer station can be a receiving point, or we can contract it out and say, okay, um, whether a private entity can collect it on our behalf, we go and do the audit, and then we pay them out. Okay, that Congressman is the best way to deal with recycling, and it lends itself from that as a springboard. Then you can open it up to larger items such as refrigerators, air conditioning. Thank God that our Office of Energy, Telma, when her clients, the division's clients, have the ability to for us, the office, to provide split type air conditioning or energy efficient refrigerators and the like. It's required that in most parts that the client has to surrender the appliance so that it comes and gets processed and shipped out, so it does not end up in somebody's backyard uh, being used as a barbecue pit, and then it becomes a trash that the mayor will have to deal with. So that's part of the cycle that we're trying to promote eventually, if this program works as intended.
Secretary, so I just wanted to say there's two there. One is
Yes.
the beverage container, but the other bill, House Bill 23-54, is for advanced disposal fees. So that's for everything. So if even if a tire comes in at the port, if this becomes law, DPW can assess a advanced disposal fee.
Right. Just remember that we cannot collect an advance fee from the military sales.
Oh, so in regards to that, another way is to I know you said that's the only way, but another way is to drop the excise tax. So it's cheaper to buy beverages outside of the base than inside of the base.
I
So,
welcome
but
that,
we'll-
Congressman. Uh, if I
Thank
can
you.
buy my my vices, at any outlet that sells it cheaper, I'm more than willing to do so. So,
I-
yeah, and you're right. Yeah.
And I just have one more question or a statement actually. Um, in regards to solar streetlights, I mean, we don't have to just focus on Garapan. Yes, I know a lot of tourists go there, and we need to spruce it up. But let's think of like all telephone poles or utility poles that are missing a CUC streetlight and putting a solar street light, especially with the pathways being built. Be very beautiful to see, like no pole missing a light, and then if there's a brownout or anything, there's a backup, which is solar. I mean, thank you for putting in those pathway lights at Kagman. Um, I'm sure Rep Angelo and TJ are getting really positive reviews from their constituents, but let's take that a step further and not wait till the completion of Beach Road streetlights. If there is funds, thank you to all the grant writers. Let's aim for everything along those pathways.
Yes, thank you, Congressman, for that. Part of the reason for targeting specific areas is because kind of like what Representative JP Sablan was saying, that we wanna try to roll this out, but we don't want to do it haphazardly. We want to have a controlled area so we can do our own assessments and our own observation, and then slowly roll it out. And of course, with the guidance of Director Enos and the energy staff, eventually it can expand. Just so you are all aware, Route 36 Phase 1A, we receive an additional $850,000 funding from Delegate Kilili's office for that section of road. And fortunately, the language is broad enough that it allows for flexibility. We can install solar streetlights along Phase 1A of Route 36. And I've already tasked the director and his staff to see how we can install some lighting there. And that um, Route 36 Phase 1, actually, the way, let me take a step back. The way Kilili's legislation is written is anywhere along the final phase, all the way down to the intersection that splits. We're down at the base of Suicide Cliff. One goes towards the landfill, the other down south. That's all available. I mean, meaning it's applicable. So we can install solar street lights anywhere from Bird Island down to that area, so that we can properly light up our tourist spots. So this is something that they're working on, and of course, Director Enos is also aware that if there's a way we can assist, and fill in the gaps, we're going to be very dynamic about it. But again, it's on a limited basis because the funding is tight. So we are being flexible.
And just the last one. Our roadways in Precinct 2 with all the potholes, our community workers have been like patching it up, but I hope that because all that traffic from Beach Road is coming in through CK, and it's also the weather, so there's more cracks. Thank you, CUC, for fixing some of the sewer issues, which also helps the road. But I know that your office has plans to fix like speed bumps and also add additional speed bumps. And could we also just maybe check up on the potholes a lot quicker? Because I know when DPW fixes the potholes, it's gonna be fixed. But let's not just worry about potholes. But if we can actually, if there's another way, just maybe chip seal or something to like. And thank you for doing a ride along in Precinct 2. I don't think we got a DPW secretary to do a ride along in a while, but so now you know for sure where the areas that need to be fixed, and please continue to fix that, because I know Congressman John Paul, through his years of being a congressman, there's money for Precinct 2. So thank you again to my colleague for making sure we're taken care of in that regard.
Thank you, Congressman. If I may, Chairman, going back to Congressman JP Sablan's question about the lighting down in Garapan. I believe my engineer Gani Salazar is in the audience. If you would want an answer,
Uh,
or
wait.
we can come back
It
to
will
that.
come back. We'll get that one real quick because I believe we have four other
Okay.
reps that want to ask questions. I
Thank
got
you.
Rep Patrick, then Rep Julie, then Rep Roman, and then Rep Joe Flores. And then we can go back to the Rep Patrick. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Secretary. Oh, okay.
Congressman, my apologies. Good
Yeah,
morning.
thank you for being here and your team. And I'm pretty sure that you're aware that um, everything that you giving updates to the TINA leadership, it's very much appreciated. And of course, the people of Tinian are much appreciated with what you're giving the update of projects down there in the island of Tinian. And with those projects that you vow to continue, we appreciate that. So this is just a simple question about solid waste because right now solid waste down there in Tinian is like it's not really doing good because the solid waste. I mean the dump site down there. It's non-compliance with OSHA, and OSHA requires and the guidelines requires that there's two. There have to be two people, one operator and one spotter. I'm pretty sure Mr. Mafnas can answer to that. Uh, so, what is your stance with that, Mr. Secretary?
Thank you. I believe you're alluding to the question of the replacements of some of the folks that have departed. I know I've tasked Director Pete to stay on top of the RFPs for the replacements. It is unfortunately it's been dogging us, and because of that. We were not able to fill those positions. Even uh, it is frustrating, I have to admit, but I would defer to Pete, to Director Pete, to answer that question.
Before I answer in regards to the vacancies for Tinian, I would like to answer your questions regarding to OSHA. Congressman, July 3rd, we'll be meeting with NMTech to discuss some specific trainings that are geared to solid waste personnel. So I'm working closely with Director Mafnas and Mr. Deputy Chris Sablon from OPD and the good team out at NM Tech. So what we want is not to have a training that are just in a general sense, but to cater it more to our solid waste staff. One particular training that we're looking at is a HASWAPER training. I believe there's three types. One is a refresher course for those that have taken HASWAPER so that annually they can be, up to date or abreast into, what are the changes in regards to handling some hazardous waste material or identifying certain hazardous waste material that are coming into the facility. Um, we have our fair challenges even within our facilities. Customers would come in and would claim that it's salad oil, but it's not actually salad oil. Salad oil. It's just they kind of mix different type of liquids. Unfortunately, we have to you know um, when we remove this hazardous material, we would have to like bid it out and have certain environmental consultant companies come in and run through testing this material to make sure that it does pass. And if it's indeed very hazardous, they would have to be shipped out to a facility that it's approved to accept this type of materials. Um, with that being said, there's also other trainings with not only the refresher, but I believe it's called a 20-hour HASWAPer training, and I believe there's another one. I think it's 40. Like I said, we've sent out a list of specific trainings to OPD, and we're going to try and tap in into our ASADRA fund so that we can be able to not only afford those training for our salary stipend, but also pass along those trainings to Tinian and as well as Rora. We do have our, like I said, a fair share of trainings that need to be met. Unfortunately, some of these trainings would have to be offered by certain OSHA certified that can provide this type of trainings. But we're working on it. I think it's the training that we're kind of looking at would be geared for the month of November. So we're into the planning stage from now until then. We'll keep you updated so that you'll be aware of what trainings will be coming up, and we are in discussion with our representatives. I mean, not representative, but OPD counterparts for Tinian and Road as well. Uh, I'll be more than happy to coordinate and update also with the mayor. But I do believe that the mayor also has an OPD representative also within uh, their um, their site also. But I'll be more than happy to provide those information. Um, Going back to in regards to the vacancies for Tinian, Tinian has actually three vacancy and a equipment operator three, equipment operator four, and I believe solid waste landfill supervisor. Um, all these three positions have been advertised. According to our Mr. Ray Lazaro from Tinian, um, two of them has gone through the selection process, and right now those papers are at Office of Personal Management. One of the other position would have to be re-advertised. Didn't they get a qualified applicant from Office of Personal Management? But going back to the funding, a lot of these positions have been put out on vacancies. Apparently, budget office. Um, if there's no position filled before the end of the fiscal year, apparently we can control the announcement process at OPM, and the the eligible list that comes out. But according to Ray, as of yesterday when I did spoke to him, you know, asked me to convey to this body if they can be able to. I know the position is budgeted, but I believe they're kind of zero with the funding, but they have a selected individual for those positions. It's just that we want to make sure that the funding is maintained so that they can be able to have a person fill that position. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. One more question, Mr. Secretary. What is the developer's tax, and does the department have a role assessing and collecting the developer's tax? With respect to Tinian, do you have any information about the developer's tax in Tinian, which I think one of your buildings down there also being developed? So,
Thank you. Uh, I believe that question needs to be brought up to the Secretary of Finance, Congressman, because uh, our building code, we're on by law, we are only tasked with assessing the developer tax. Once it's collected, it goes under the control of the Secretary of Finance. We do um, keep a small percentage, I believe 2%. But again, the last few years, or actually the current year that we're in, developer tax funds have been suspended. So we are not receiving that. I would ask the Secretary of Finance for clarification. I believe I submitted to the municipality and your office a report to the tune of, I believe, what, $36,000 roughly of developer tax collection for the island of Tinian. Again, any development within the military properties, we cannot assess any developer tax because of the supremacy clause of federal law that a state cannot tax um, the federal government, just like us trying to tax beverages sales out of the local exchange here, the AFES. Um, but when it comes to permitting, it's a different scenario. Like for example, the pipeline project, we did assess the developer for the road cutting, and that has been paid.
Before you, Mr. Chairman, I'm just gonna say the UMO building down there in Tinian is making a lot of money. So right now, you
Oh, is that all?
Oh, yeah,
No.
Congressman San Nicolas, yes. Good morning again. Just a quick recap regarding the permitting for the Tinian dump at Punta Diablo. We should be, as a matter of fact, there should be a selection as to the company that's going to develop what they call the smoke community exempt landfill. It's a less stringent permitting requirement, um, not requiring any liner. This would be the same with eventually with Rhoda dump as well. So we're pretty much close to that. Once that's done, and then hopefully the solid fronts can kick in, for the so that's where we're at right now. In addition, I believe the Department of Defense for the Argidon part, because the Putan Diablo is just for I think for 10 year, but we gotta get into compliance. So once we do that, we should be moving uh before 10 years, we should be moving to Argidon area where the military, I believe, is working with their real estate to give back to the Tina municipality a big portion, a big chunk of the military lease for the, for the other, for the, I guess, for the future landfill in Argidon, the most feasible site. They'll be providing that with all the completed assessment, environmental, whatnot is what, what am I aware of as of today, rather. So yeah, and just in line with that, just kind of touch base with the vacancy, and maybe with this August body, really just take a look at all the vacancy, the position that was zeroed by OMB to hopefully restore that, because one vacancy on my part really is my accountant. And for Tin and manager Ray Lazaro has been basically struggling by himself. He's a one-man team right now, and he's dealing with military ways and whatnot, and even the Tinian community. So hopefully he'll get his FTEs refunded, or at least go back to their FY23 funding, availability, instead of being zeroed out, because it will never, and just that goes the same for both Rhoda and Saipan for that matter. So just thought I add that in. So thank you.
thank you for that full information, Mr. Mofnas. Mr. Chairman, are you for now?
Thank you, Rep. San Nicolas. Guys, we're at 12 o'clock uh, right now, so we're gonna have to speed it up a little. Rep. Julie's next, and then Rep. Joe, because I don't see Rep. For the first round. Rep. Beneventi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you again, Secretary Yumu and your staff for coming in for today's budget hearing. I only have a few questions for the first editorial district. And my first question is, first of all, thank you for terminating that contract with Radiocom. It's really, really crucial that we can, we move on with that project there. And also, in line with Congressman Patrick San Nicolas, you pretty much answered about the OSHA requirements for the solid waste, but that also include the equipment operator certification. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So as far as the tipping fee, I understand that I actually brought this attention, to the mayor's attention last year. And I've asked them again, what is the status of implementing, the tipping fee? And I believe there are some issues that still need to address. And I hope that, the central DPW office will be able to assist, our municipality in, jump starting that tipping fee program in Rhoda. Um, my last question, oh, actually, for the solid waste right now, I believe the previous solid waste branch manager has resigned. What is the current status of that position?
Let me
Representative Ogo, are you referring to see Mr. Mike?
Yes, correct.
Yes, I I don't I don't have the details in regards to the vacancy, but the usual process is that once somebody resigns from their solid waste end, the paper usually gets routed with the signatory from the mayor's office to forward down to Saipan for Secretary Yumu's approval, and then from there it goes along the announcement process. I can get back to you on that. I would have to have my staff, because right now she's currently at the mayor's office, helping out for the July 4th festivities.
Mhm.
But once I get back to the office, I can ask her, and I can give an update on that. Going back to the tipping fees, as a matter of fact, I've sent a draft card of the tipping fee regulation, so that each respective island from Rhode and Tinian can be able to comment as to what they want change within their regulations as to charges. I've received an update from Tinian, but I haven't received anything from Rhoda. But
When did you send that out?
I believe I sent it out to Mr. George.
When did you send it out?
I would have to search out my email. When did they receive it? But usually I ask whether they can provide us a comment, because,
Okay.
as each island, when it comes to shipping and in regards to certain recyclables that needs to be processed, we have to contend with certain things. I do believe that former Senator Taimonio at one point was asking if they can waive the tipping fees for Rora, and I say we can't waive anything, because it's they haven't implemented a tipping fee. But we encourage, like Secretary Yumo was mentioning, that we encourage each municipality to provide their comments, because I guess the tipping fee for Saipan might vary different from Rora or
Mhm.
Tinian,
Yes.
depending on cost and availability of how to package and ship it out, so to speak. But yes.
Okay, thank you. For the position of that branch manager, from what I've gathered from RD Atelic, it has been announced already. As a matter of fact, they already identified a qualified individual for this position. So he was informed that according to OMB, that's not going to be funded for this year, which is I find it kind of odd because.
So like going back, usually when we do have a vacancy, I know when they usually have a budget call. Um, Normally, like I said, I do not have control over OPM's announcement process. So, or once they generate an eligible list and it gets forwarded down to the office. Usually, when we do have a budget process, and for governor submission, sometimes by the time we get to receiving a eligible list, interviewing the applicants and whatnot, sometimes OMB would, you know, zero out the FT. And when we do ask if they can reinstate that, unfortunately, sometimes when the fact of the matter is that we're going through economic, struggles right now. So of course, whatever cut that they can see on there, and they says, oh, there's a vacancy, we're gonna have to eliminate that. But as an agency, we all have our needs, and we need people in place to fill those critical positions. Like Mr. Mafnas just mentioned earlier, that Mr. Lazaro from Tinian, he's like a one-man team. We did have a vacancy announcement for an accountant, which you know uh, quit during the process of going through to the budgetary process. And then when we do announce that, it takes time. By the time we get an eligible list, the vacancy would have been zeroed out, even though we do need it. Director Camacho, for example, you know, um, needs an engineer, and even for that fact, sometimes they do zero out certain critical positions. So, um, like what Mr. Mafnas mentioned, that we do need our vacancies. Um, we want to fill those vacancies. Unfortunately, sometimes it gets caught up in the process of the submission, and at the same time, the fiscal year ends at September 30. So of course, you know, if we do get an eligible list at within that, late month, of course, by that time it would have been zeroed out.
Okay, because I believe this position was closed out in just this year in March.
No, I take it back. The position is there, but there's the funding is the issue, I think.
It's there.
Oh, okay, okay,
So just to follow up, what's the hold up? Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. So I can do a follow with Rora, but if they already have an eligible list, it just takes an interview and a selection, and then forward it down.
Okay. I think they do have already, but I'll let them know.
Okay.
And also, I know you mentioned, Secretary Yumo, about the driver's license. You get a percentage of that, right?
Yes.
How about do you guys collect anything from vehicle registrations?
No, no, we don't. That actually, 50% goes to DPS. You're talking about um,
T20,
public law
2104 CMC
vehicle
2104.
registration fees under public law 11-55. It's split 50-50 between DPS and the judicial branch for the repayment of the judicial loan,
Mhm. Yes,
which we all know has been fully
we
paid.
paid off. ever since.
We're only receiving road maintenance account through the driver's license fee, and I was in the process of implementing a way to give back to Rhoda and Tinian respectively a portion of these fees collected, because for example, your respective jurisdictions, you have your driver's license being renewed at your senatorial district, although it's collected under DPW in general. I wanted to return that money to the resident directors to be used for Rhoda and Tinian's respective roadside maintenance. But that may have to be scuttled because it's been identified and in the budget. So it's not going to be possible unless this body aims to have more dialogue, I guess, with the Secretary of Finance and see how we can make it a reality.
Okay. I am working on an initiative for the heavy equipment, vehicle registration. So we'll be forwarding that for comment to your office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Julie. Next, I have we're gonna wrap it up. So we have Rep. Roman and then Rep. Joe for the first round.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Secretary. Yumo Yumo. Thank you for coming, and members of your staff and your directors that are here today. I just like to ask something about the road. I like to mention something about the roads. The road that is being under construction right now. There's a concern. I have seen concern, and I'm not going against the project. There's a concern with regards to after they pave the road, the manhole, sewer manhole that goes in there. there's a bubble in there in the road that really creates a lot of their series of manhole from Oliai all the way down to basically CK. That that it affects the cars and stuff like that. So people are kind of complaining about that, but I know that one can be rectified. But we have to mention to you folks because you guys are the one responsible in the inspectors and in the
Yes.
inspections of it.
Yes, thank you, Congressman. The reason why that there's still a lip, basically, on the manholes because the paving is not done yet. There's still one more layer, which is the anti-skid. But I believe my engineers here, Henry Bautista, had already instructed GPPC, which I have seen. They've placed marks, reflective markers around the manhole so that you can visibly see it and adjust your driving to drive over it without running it over. But again, it's we may have to revisit it and see how we can identify it more clearly, I guess. But we'll definitely address it. Thank you.
Another thing too is that I'm concerned. Like you've mentioned that the end of the construction will basically stop at Hubwood, basically in Chalampio, right? For the construction, the road construction.
That's for phase two. Yes.
Phase
That's,
two.
yes.
Do you have any additional intention to go through all the way up to San Antonio and Kobler, all the way to meet up with
Yes.
even the airport?
I will defer that to my director of TSD. He has your answer.
Good afternoon, Congressman. That is part of phase one. Phase one, with the design included for the whole stretch of Beach Road, we are just hoping that we could get funding by then. And we could probably move that project closer to fruition than what we have in fiscal allocation. So hopefully in the next year or two.
Lagwa dyan na besangan gifinut sa moro kisa debi di matungo ni tauto na wasya man mangumplelen wasya mga kwentus po di chalan ni di po di manho ni di babu ni ja Maulik secretary sa si Jesus Mosin on sangan tayo na siyempre ang magtutalo tayo sa ngani GPPC na po fakto da po matalon mapave da po manamas man na maulili do manatunas do manasway di siya babu gilo chalan lo talo ufafaisin po de juluchan ni Kosinya manohono juluchan San Antonio dan hulusta Kobler dan Guatusta even up to the airport road from Guangdong all the way up to the airport road kumugwa sa Lapi sa gipresente according to Director Tato Salapi, no Mr. Director.
Other Terabia.
Okay. Pus gininaw na mo na fafaisin namin sa paugo sa an malufa namin sa paugo along Kobler. Kung malufa namin sa along Kobler San Antonio ti give me na problema. Logo na malo no sa kaulo gidi ekso para Kobler gidi San Antonio. Do malo no katanggihanam pura patho manginagwado ki udo dan podungi kareta. Yang podungi redang kareta adi salay na kareta. Ada no majula nga alignment. Ikareta pus ijigi na ujunggan man mapapats lo tinahong ja estay tempo ginagagaw ja disti tempo ni chogwi jo na chalan jan paugo ni sita tas empeño after mano ni ta either mari surface tagi Guam pa America matsusogi mari surface sa nilu toludo jo mana Maulik to avoid more additional expenses na then construction no process i-contractor pero chogwi tagi GPPC par Hawaiian Rock or pay fa sa niluigi on top of the other one matsutsugi no the America man sadiding matsugi no us kumu sinya tatsugi kita gino ne that avoid siya red tape ne Mas maulik para ita. No, another thing loki pa be faisin amdo po EG 302. EG chalan EG corrosion point loki. Ano malo no EG corrosion point jo mana no ulo stai para ipunta ni airport. EG 302 na chalan. All the way para Dandan. Para Dandan no uju madrugan waktu gi Hawaiian Rock, Ibag Road. All the way para Larry Beach dan no Objan. Todo do katan para madrugan itu na chalan dan Dandan. Pus no Mr. Director jauh na be faisino te gini. Estádio i tiningo gi kinimpundik ko na estádio i DPW ja thank you secretary nito sa estádio ma preba i chalan ni Pomatsogi para sa tati na chalan di 302. It's been a long awaited no Janelo. Finally esta para Matsogi pus goloki u ansias ja tali goji ne i precinct 1 tali gaji papa no chalan iji salakpi ni kobli ni para Matsogi ji para papa objan dan para papa Larabits. Estádio i gobyerno sign mamalais ta. Utunga na i objan. Estat kabalis todo a certify sa la peña secretary kung todo i para Larabits. Ma-certify sa la peña pus guabe faisinam di kita gini kumusinya. Sa asangan na secretary na kumu man monoxide auto kumu mauli ki chalan zaman monoxide auto guma inajuda ekonomia para mona jeju na lugar gatu bulala homestead bulala man manai tanugi ja bulala sa pagu man mananga pumaksa no lugar niya lo toja chalan ni maulik paro fanano papa ni sinya paro Matsogi lugar niya parewa jan Larabits loki wahasya gi Larabits man matulaika lo istigi na intensyon ti mensionas ti put para guapit sunan menti pat para todo dami uso lo para man mamela na famaguntan ni aji po fan maktugi ja po fanyoga gina lugar ja po mabansa siya linalanya maulik muna ja sinya mas mo maulik ekonomiya Mr. Secretary jan no Mr. Director si Jus Masi ni effort kung todo yung medyo engineer ni man involved siya. Jan todo am dyan ni Inchechegwi. Dangkulo na si Jus Masi ni no.
You're welcome. So just to give you an update, Obzan Road, we have issued the intent to award. So I'm sure your constituents and of course, thank you for your persistence looking in follow-up in the project. The intent to award has been issued. We are waiting for the contractor to submit all their documents and their bonding. And shortly after that, I say maybe in the next 2 weeks to a month, we'll be able to issue the notice to proceed.
Director, for your information, look, tama man na nasa sign ni Governor, titsago ko nasa sign ni Governor, chalan para papa, look, no nabiyo. Jalan para papa no Larabits. Ejigi loki jalan Larabits importante do sa bulala guasta siya man yasa sa nalun tauto. Jan gua siya man gay homestead giji umbanda ya kagwin na banda. Pus kumusinya loki jo ta ajuda da tana chadig ja kumu malofan ji 302 esta chetun ja esta kabalis todo i kareranya fera no manina ajuda loki tourist ja mamasalokpi juga tu na lugar. Sinya umano kumunculi na route, sinya umano no all around the island. Dombira ho, ja paved road all the way. Si just mosi, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to share this with the committee. Just a summary, a snapshot report of all the projects that have been completed, at least for the past 2 years. Projects that are ongoing and projects that are coming up.
Thank you, Director. We'll pick it up and we'll disseminate it. I guess the chairman of the SNAL is in charge of that. So kindly receive the document and then forward it to everybody. Rep Flores, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Secretary, earlier you mentioned regarding Public Law 20-39, that's the licensing fee. And you said that the fee that's been collected, you basically use it for street lighting payment. Any other uses for that the fee?
Operations, Congressman, for road maintenance, basically roads and grounds, their fuel, as we're able to cover, and I'm sorry, equipment repair, their vehicle repairs. We've had a string of mishaps, unfortunately, that we had to tap into to do repairs. For example, our hydro acts. There are times where the operator does not notice, some of the debris are um, difficult to navigate through, and also during because of normal wear and tear, some of the components will need replacing. So that's what we've been doing.
Okay, about the next question, about responsible for like a replacement of traffic signs that are being damaged or missing, and about those markings, road markings, and the railings, road railings. What funding are that to maintain or to repair? Because if you go around island, there's a lot of railings that are being damaged. I don't know who's
Right.
taking care
So
of that. Is there funding, or we need to allocate something, or we need to address this funding? Because in this funding is saying the only shoulder maintenance. Is this funding can be used to maintain traffic signs at the same time, or there has to be another?
no, Congressman, you're absolutely correct. Everything that you've outlined can and will does come out of the road maintenance account. However, like I said in my opening remarks, this legislative body had not appropriated operational funds for this department, namely streetlights, and it forced me to use that account to pay for utilities, streetlights. So I have to juggle between uh, streetlights and uh, my director, Mike Borhan, his team's needs. And it's unfortunate because they are doing the best they can with the limited resources. And this is why we've come at a different level, the delegation, to ask for support because my hands were tied. If um, the streetlight, the utilities, the billings for that is shifted elsewhere, that money will be used basically to do the restriping, the replacement of the missing buttons and the reflectors, the traffic light fixtures, the bulbs, you name it. It's all part of road maintenance. As long as it serves the highways, then it's fair game. But again, my hands were tied, and I have to uh, work with what I have. It's either I stop paying for the utilities to the traffic light and the street lights, and pay for the striping and such, or the latter. This is why I've also come to the delegation asking for assistance in crosswalks. Um, no, I do not want to do that, but my hands were tied, and that's what it boils down to, Congressman. It's one pot. This department really has two special accounts, and they're very very critical. To the operations, and one is road maintenance, and the other is building code. Now, oh, of course, solid waste, but we're making do with solid waste. We had some flexibility, but now it looks like we're poised to have a huge challenge. Again, my frustration is with this exorbitant, unnecessary expenses that were consumed a few years back. and now we're saddled with it. We have to pay, and as frustrating as it is, this is what we have to deal with. Thank you.
I do understand regarding funds and everything, but we always have to look safety in consideration first. That if we can always try to do at least one project at a time, especially nowadays the railings. If you go back roads, all those railings are all damaged. We can work on that at least one at a time, because that will create, if something happens on that, it's more an impact to the motors because it's damaged
Okay.
already. And
Thank you.
it's, at least I'm not saying it's for you to do it now, but it's we find a little funding to start at least one per project, so we can try to alleviate, because it's the same time it's for safety reason, and also it's an eyesore for the motors. It's something that we need to look at. And you mentioned earlier regarding 11 that's 55. Basically, that was my question to you regarding the license fee about for registration, which I'm glad you taught me that 1155. Maybe the legislature needs to look into that, because that's an additional funding. Because basically in this public law 20, the stern is basically shoulder the road, doesn't give you that more power usage for use it for your traffic signs. Maybe this body will try to look into this and make an amendment so we can formulate something that will basically give in revenue to public works for maintenance of highways and traffic signs.
Thank you, Congressman. I believe a quick fix would be to just amend Public Law 1155. The judiciary building has already been fully satisfied. It's been paid off, and that's 50% of the fees collected. And these are for vehicle registration, and the vehicles are impacting the roadways. The railings, unfortunately, are expensive to repair. Every time there's an accident that damages the railing, it saves lives. So let's just put that up front, that it does work. Unfortunately, the cost to replace them is not cheap. I have an incident where insurance company, because the existing law that mandates minimum insurance coverage, 15,000, 30,000 for per incident. The cost estimate for the repair of the damage street light, I'm sorry, a traffic light caused by the motorist totaled over $90,000. The insurance company said we're only going to pay out $15,000. So there's a big gap, and the parent of the operator wrote a very sombering letter saying to me, saying that they are financially inept, that they cannot pay the difference, and they're pleading that they be given relief, and it's not my place. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be the Attorney General's office that's going to have to figure out what to do, because that is beyond my authority to grant. So these equipment, right, the barriers, they're designed to protect life, but they're not cheap. And it's very unfortunate. That's why every time you see damages out there, we struggle with insurance companies. Right now, we have 4 that we're working with insurance companies right now, but with the limits, right? It's imposed by law. It's not going to happen. But again, yes, road maintenance can cover that, but it's being utilized elsewhere because of existing law. So it is a financial struggle, and again, it's the priorities. So I'm open to suggestions, but right now this is going to be a big challenge. Losing access to building safety code fees and to the road maintenance fees. Those are the 2 big ones that are going to be a new challenge. Solid waste has been an ongoing challenge. I know this body had inserted language that I requested last year, and I actually forgot to mention it. I'm going to need language again in this Appropriations Act very clear language that says that the financial assurance for the Marpi landfill will be shouldered full faith and credit by the CNMI. Otherwise, it'll be an automatic uh, violation, if you will. We're going to go down the road of receivership. And it's beyond my control. Thank you.
Rep Camacho, I think you have the last.
I actually wanted to say good morning, but I think I'll go with good afternoon. So I just wanted to point something out. I'm looking at the analysis that's in front of me, and it looks like comparing your request and the governor's proposal, you only actually have a shortfall about $271,000. So you're good to go with money. But
Not really.
I wanted to ask something. Is HoR Drive on your list of construction, roads construction? Earhart Drive? Earhart Drive, right? You saw it?
Yeah, that's up in
Gualora.
Gualora, yes.
So it's on there.
Well, there's no specific appropriation for that funding yet, but
Well, I already did one, so it should be getting that money soon.
No, thank you.
And my
Congressman.
second question is that road project in front of the Oliai Church completed?
actually that's under NMHC's project. But
Uh-huh.
if I'm not mistaken, it is completed.
Mhm.
Uh,
When is the ribbon cutting? I want to be there.
premature
Don't
ribbon
need to
cutting, I
explain
guess.
now. We'll do that for second round. Thank you. Are you?
Okay.
Thank you,
Give it another
Congressman.
Okay, members. I think we have to get the engineer to answer Rep. John Paul, and then is it a clarification? Yes and no answers. We're waiting for the. Okay, so while we wait for the engine, okay, here's the engineer.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, our engineer, Mr. Salazar, will answer your question. Can you repeat your question? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary. Good afternoon, sir. It's been a while. My question actually earlier was about the plan within with OPD with regards to the Paseo and the Otto Street. How many of those lightings that are part of the plan are actually city powered, and how many are proposed for solar lights? If you know, I know that the secretary said that you and Henry has been sitting on the panel of this OPD project. Do you happen to know how many of those lighting on the sidewalks that will be erected are city powered, and how many are solar lights?
Good afternoon, Congressman. Based on the initial assessment that we have about 20 more or less, street light from the city power, and then probably we're going to install about more or less 30 or close to 40 solar lightings.
So with the 20 average pieces or streetlights are those that are already have existing posts, power posts
For the street light,
for the streetlight,
yeah,
and those are city powered.
city power.
Now the ones that are going to be newly erected will be all solar lights. Is that
Yes,
correct?
and we're going to do some, vigorous, assessment to make sure that the number of solar lights will be put in place. So right now, that's the initial assessment that we have.
Okay, and I tend to agree, and I'm glad that that's the course we're taking because I know that you guys, it's costly to pay those streetlights, and if we're going to add additional streetlights that are powered by city powered, it's just an extra expense for DPW, and I'm glad that we're leaning and we're swifting as towards solar lights. Thank you, Chairman, and that answers my question.
I guess we'll if we can get a update on, I guess, identifying what is paid for, because we're trying to get information from CUC as well as OPD as to what is covered, because I believe this body did appropriate for lighting in that area and as well as telephone pole replacement, but uh, we have challenges because some of us believe that uh, the recipient or the beneficiary of those telephone poles is CUC, and we're tasked in the delegation as to or questioning is why we're paying for that when we're not benefiting for it. So these are the questions that we're trying to clarify with DPW, CUC, and OPD, and that revitalization project as to what is covered with solar and what was covered by the actual, I guess, um, the electricity. So that's something that needs to be clarified with this body.
And also, there are some existing street lights that I'm pretty sure probably we're going to replace those because it's been a while. So just to make it a typical street lights for the whole stretch of the Agarapan
Right.
revitalization project.
Yes, you see, remove a lot of
Yeah.
those poles or replaced it, but then
Yeah.
they never put the lights back on. So we're getting a lot of complaints from the constituent and the business in there that the place is dark. So that's our main concern, is making sure that those alleyways are lighted properly so that our visitors don't get harassed or in worst scenario get robbed in that area. But that's what we're trying to clarify now with regards to what is DPW's role in this. I know you guys are paying for the power, but or the street lights, but there's no street lights there because CEC hasn't replaced most of it. So that's something that we're trying to get at, and also with regards to the energy, possibly solar lights. But that's yeah, I don't need. Just give me an update on, I guess, in writing. I'm trying to get everybody together in the same table so that we can discuss this and I guess clarify for all. I'll give the last yes and no question to Rep Marissa, and then we'll close out. Rep TJ, Jeff. Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, Secretary, yes or no? Keep it simple, keep it short before I get in trouble from the chairman. Uh, just a member of this committee, but I also do have an obligation to my constituents in my precinct. So, in regard to the crosswalks on Middle Road where there were 2 fatalities, are the updates looking good? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, when do you think we have those signs erected by the end of the fiscal year? Yes or no?
Rep, I think Precinct
Yeah.
3 has
No.
no, sorry,
Excuse me,
Secretary,
sir,
to
I have
interrupt.
the floor now.
I understand, but we have funds for that. I
Okay.
believe, Rep.
All right,
with
thank you. All right,
Sablan.
so since my chairman, my wonderful and great chairman, took care of that already. In regard to public signs, 24-3 says that you have the responsibility to provide all these public signs. In regard to the Paseo and the area in Precinct 3, the tourist district, will Public Works be erecting signs that have loitering or any of that in that respect that allows the business owner to call DPS if there's any loitering activity within that district? Yes or no?
I'd say no because it has to be traffic related signs.
Got it. Okay, so then that would be DPS, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So in regard to beach safety, there have been many drownings that have been occurring around our island. Is DPW going to, at any time before the end of the fiscal year, erect any beach safety signs in regard to rip currents, etc.? Yes or no?
No. That's not our.
That's not your jurisdiction. Whose jurisdiction is that? That's not a yes or no.
Would be CRM.
CRM. Okay, thank you. Now my last and final yes or no. Yeah. So, the chairman, our great chairman from Precinct 3, our most great chairman from the SNIOD, have expressed their support in the crosswalks of Middle Road, addressing those fatalities. I do not want to get a phone call in the middle of the night saying that another pedestrian in my district or any other district using that area being hit by a vehicle. Last and final one, the lighting in Middle Road. Are you working with CUC? Is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, would those lights be improved? Because apparently it's still dark in the middle of the night. It's high up there. I do understand that Federal Highway on the lighting poles, there's a certain threshold. Because of that, the lights are much smaller. Is DPW working with CUC to make those lights bigger because there's a threshold on the power pole that says that it has to be at this certain position? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that yes or no questions. But just for an update, I believe Rep Sablon has approved the contract to address Middle Road, and I believe
That
the
is correct.
contractor is we're gonna get that
Right.
information from DPW.
I guess what we need, Chairman, just for clarification to the line of question of Rep. Marisa, first, the funding is already executed. We have awarded already a contractor. It's just a matter of the contractor working with DPW, authorizing them to erect this pedestrian lights and signs.
Yes, Congressman. Thank you for that and taking the lead from the delegation. I just asked that the contractor needs to sit with TSD to make sure that the design is an approved design that meets federal requirements for highway safety. So they cannot just install any kind of sign
Right.
or any type of fixture.
Absolutely. So that's the next process. We
Thank
need to
you.
deal with DPW to forego this project.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Rep Sablon.
I got a yes or no question too.
No, we're done.
No, I just got one question real quick
What's
to
your
Mr.
question?
Blas. Yeah, to see Mr. Blas, see Blas. I'd like to ask a question with regards to the transfer station of Kobler Elementary. I mean Kobler Asgurno.
Yes,
Transfer
the answer is
station.
yes. So
Is that a yes?
What's the question?
The funding is the funding still there?
It should be under the other funds.
Okay.
there is funding. Okay, the
Yes.
answer
And
is yes.
could that
Yes,
process
there's
continue too?
Yeah, once the comprehensive plan is completed, the release of the funds could be
Thank you.
used.
Thank you, Director. And thank you, members, for today. I know we went over the time. Secretary, thank you again for making yourself present. I know it's going to be challenging this year. We are looking, we're going to get some clarifying answers from the Secretary of Finance as soon as she comes before us. But for now, I'll hand over the floor for your closing remarks, if any. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Yumo, and to this August body. Of course, my staff, all my directors and my managers were more than happy to reach out to every one of you to continue this conversation. We do ask for your assistance in this matter because at the end of the day, whatever product that comes out of this legislature in the form of the Budget Act, it's going to tie our hands. So either we have the tools in the form of the proper funding so that we can do the job that we need to do and to provide the public service that we need to perform. it's all going to be based on that fund's availability. If it's limited, you will handicap us, and we will have to work within those confines. So it's like a toolbox with all these tools in it. If you keep taking these tools away and out of the box, there won't be anything left inside but to answer calls. I've already told one of my managers to go look for 2x4s and some nails so we can make benches, and we're going to put it all along the outside of our offices, and we're just going to sit every day and answer phone calls, because that's really what we're going to be challenged or what we're going to be left with. So I know it's going to be a big challenge for you. I'm not saying that we're more deserving than any other agency or department out there, but the product of this body will define our tasks for the next coming fiscal year. So with that, I'd like to thank you for inviting us once again, and thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. And with that, if there's no further, I will now adjourn the Ways and Means hearing at 12:45 p.m. Thank you, members.